Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and a very good day to everyone. So today we're going to talk about why art is significant or important to us. So before we talk about the topic, let's go to the brief definition of what art is. As I mentioned before, art is an expression and application of freedom itself. So, why is it significant, or why is art significant toward humanity or the humankind? So, first of all, art is produced and consumed in any objects that we see, whether it's an art or not an art. For every creation, there is a creator. For every artwork, there is a maker, the artist, or the artisan who makes the art. So the person who makes the art is a human, and it's very significant towards the importance of the humankind. So we're learning about the developments of humankinds from many aspects, from the culture and the society, which is imbued in the development of art and per se art history itself. So art has been produced and consumed as an agent or a medium of freedom for political, economical, social, religious belief, and even for survival mode since the prehistoric ages. So there's a big questions. Some people, they would ask that what is the contributions of art towards the humanity or humankind as compared to the contributions of the STEM or science and technology, technology, engineering, and mathematics. So I would say that both are equally important. As for what we see, we can say that art lays as a foundation for the existence of humankind and humanity itself. As we say, science and technology is important for the humankind, so art itself is also important for humanity and humankind. So this is the way that both are important. The survival imperative is important, and the freedom imperative is important. So that freedom imperative in art itself is important for history itself and for also the development of the whole humankind. If we say that the science and technology is more dominant in the contributions of humanity and also humankind, we can see that the science and technology is also a destruction. Not saying that all of it is a destruction. At times it was a destruction for humankind and humanity. As for example, with great powers and great science and technology, we as humankinds, we developed the first and second war. The first war was in 1914 until 1918. The second war was in 1938 until 1945, and it was massive destructions because of science and technology. We made a lot of weapons that was never made before. There were, warships. There were, jet ships, fighting jet ships. There were nuclear bombs. There were innovations in a lot of things used for war, which was from science and technology. So, which was actually a survival imperative. A survival imperative. What makes it different as humans with animals? That survival mode of imperative from, as example, an animal from one area trying to siege one area or trying to dominate one area. That lust and that desire for survival, even though things were enough for every nation, so the first and second war, but it tend to be not enough, and we wanted more. So what was the freedom imperative in art at that time? We can see a lot of things from the science and technology at that time which presented a lot of fascism. People thought they were better than the other ideologies and systems, capitalists and socialists. So what we want to talk is that what was lacked on those time of the First and Second War was the freedom imperative, the freedom imperative of art itself. I mean, the freedom of one nation better than the other, one race better than the other, one gender superior than the other, and one systems of, I mean, whether economic system or politics system or social system or religion system is better than the other. So that kind of check and balance of freedom was needed, and that was presented in the uncertainty developments of a lot of movements in the art history of modern art. You can see that some fascists, as example as Adolf Hitler, he also did not like modern art for that freedom imperative. So art itself was very significant, and the check and balance for both, for art and its arts and science and technology were both celebrated and important. And as we can see that art not only lays as the foundation and existence of the humankind, but the debate of whether which one is much more important is like the debate of the chicken and the egg. Which comes first? Is it the chicken or the egg? Is it science came first as contributing much more, or did art came first and contributing much more? So actually both are important. I mean, both are important. Whether the chicken came first or the egg came first, they were like, I mean, both are important for the existence of the species, the survival of the species, the freedom of the species. So both art, science and technology should work together. As we see now, it happens a lot of time, and at times it does not happen. So, for example, as per se that example that I gave in the World War I and World War II and the other series of devastating wars. But most of the time, as example, let's give an example, since the Renaissance, arts and science was celebrated and geniuses have been made. As for example, Leonardo da Vinci, Michelangelo, they made great artworks on, for example, the Sistine Chapel, the Mona Lisa, and a lot of artworks. So both are important. In economy, as we can say, it's like the equilibrium of supply and demand. Both are important. If you don't have the supply, then you don't have. If you have a lot of demand but no supply, then it would be a problem. If you have a lot of supply but less of demand, then it would also be a problem. So art is like that. You need that art side of the freedom side of art, and you need that survival imperative of whatever you say, a political system, economical system, a religious system, social system, which both are important. Just how Aristotle sees it as the wax and the seal. It's the same thing. The wax creates the form of the seal, and the form of the seal is made from the wax. So I believe we need to study both and be much better and contribute much more significance towards humanity and humankind. Thank you. Assalamu alaikum.